do you help your clients, or how do you help anybody find their true purpose so that they can maybe live fulfilled lives?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to go about slicing that cat, so to speak. But one of the acronyms that I've come up with to just kind of paint a picture to help people understand how to get in the right path of unveiling what their purpose is, I use the acronym MAT. And a
Matt,
lot of times, MAT, yeah, the
MAT.
acronym MAT. Yeah, um, it stands for what motivates you, what angers you, and what transformation you want to bring into the world. So having been in the financial services industry, I've worked with clients who may have worked for a corporate employer. And while it's not as fashionable today, I mean, there was a time in our history where people were proud of having worked for the same company for 30 years. Today,
Mm-hmm.
it seems fashionable to kind of have varied experiences with a bunch of different companies. But there are many of those individuals who would be at the same company for 20, 30 years and had already, set a retirement date and were literally checking off the days and the weeks and the months and the years until they retired. But what was sad about that was the expectation that these 30 years, you're just waiting for it to pass away. Like they are the 30 of your least ideal years. And when you retire is when you're going to start living life. I just
Mm-hmm.
think that's a bad story for anybody to be carrying around. I can't foresee that the creator of the universe would have placed us here on earth and defined being alive and living at a 10 and feeling that we are fulfilling our core purpose, living at the highest level of actualization, that's something that would be deferred for 30 years. And so a lot of those people who may, spend 8 hours at a job that they don't like, but that maybe makes good money, I often tell them when you walk into the front door and you see that mat that's in front of your house, let it be a reminder of where your focus and attention should be. One, what you were designed and created to do should be something that instinctively motivates you. You should have a natural proclivity to want to do whatever it is that you're called to do. It should be
Yeah.
like almost like a growing pain on the inside of you, kind of like a pregnant lady goes through 40 weeks of like feeling, there's something that really, you know, humming here on the inside, so to speak. So
Yeah.
purpose isn't going to be that far off from something that naturally you're motivated by. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing in that acronym MAT is anger. Anger is a very, very powerful emotion. Oftentimes we see the dark side of that, but I believe there's a good side to anger. And a good side to anger is when you are angry about the state of a specific uh, issue within our environment.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, one of the things that angers me is this consistent statistics that's been out there that greater than 90% of businesses fail.
Yeah.
And it's been a running statistic for
Yeah.
decades. And I abhor that because I know, especially in the times that we're in today where we're dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, it's the small business owner that is single-handedly most responsible for the viability and the longevity of our economy. And so we have to do everything to uphold and support the small business owner. They're the ones that are responsible for the myriad of jobs that are being made available, to rank and file people. So that's an area where I have a personal interest in terms of uh, changing the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Changing the story around how successful businesses can be, right? That's one thing that angers me amongst many in terms of what my purpose is. But being able to identify what motivates you, being able to identify what angers you, and then third is being able to identify what level of transformation that you want to bring into the world. And so for me, speaking to that is the idea of breaking or ending hopelessness. Uh,
Mm.
Hopelessness is a catalyst for a lot of the evil that we see that's prevalent in our society. Anybody who's ever engaged in gang banging, who's ever stolen from a corner convenience store, who's ever engaged in prostitution, who's ever engaged in child molestation, who's ever engaged in human trafficking. The list goes on and on of just heinous and hideous things that we see within our society at the root of a lot of those decisions, which led to actions that were initiated by thoughts that people had, or thoughts of hopelessness. Each and every individual, I kid you not, if you had an opportunity to interview somebody who was in that predicament, who was engaging in that type of behavior, you would find that they had come to a place in life where they felt like their life was hopeless. And out of that very disempowering state of hopelessness, they felt like the only alternative that was available to them, the only viable alternative, the only viable option that they had as to what they could do, was to engage in that type of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So I know a core of my being that if we can help mitigate, reduce, and even end hopelessness, that we will see a precipitous drop in the number of really, really heinous things that happen within our society that we just abhor at the core of who we are. So those are, a couple of examples of how somebody can kind of navigate to figure out, what is my purpose? What was I created to do? It's got to motivate you. You got to be angered by something relating to what it is that you want to do. And you've got to have at the heart of your heart this major level of transformation that you want to bring to the world as a result of fulfilling your purpose.
That's amazing. It's actually the first time that I heard this little math acronym. That's pretty brilliant. I like that. And for the anger, can that correspond to the point where when you get tired of being tired, like you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that's like, oh, this is what I have to change. That's when, is that a good example?
That's oftentimes a good sign that you get so fed up with the way in which life is, which a particular situation is. That could be a clue that you're being called to change that. A lot of the great inventions, a lot of the great companies that we have, whether it's Elon Musk and some of the things he's done with the electric car. He wasn't the first person to invent the electric car, but he's going to go down in history as the first person to commercialize it as a profitable industry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of being sick and tired of all the emissions from the alternative forms of vehicles that were out there, right? There was a lot of sick and tired of being, the limitations that the alternative forms of vehicles were, natural, gas, petrol-based vehicles. And so, he went through his version of MAT, I'm sure, to get to that place where he decided to launch Tesla, to make a difference, to bring transformation, to deal with something that angered him, but also to work in an area where he felt some level of motivation as well.
Yeah. That is very right.